Hi, Carol. Welcome. Welcome, everybody, to class this evening. This is gentle yoga, and tonight we are going to be using a bolster. It's going to be a very nice restorative class, more on the gentle side. So if you have a bolster, grab that. And if you don't have a bolster, some options are to roll up some towels, blankets, even a yoga mat with a blanket over it, that kind of thing. And we're actually going to start class. Oh, and you may also want to have, depending on the size of your bolster, you may also want to have an extra pillow or a little blanket for your head. And I'll show you what I mean. But you may be fine with just the bolster. So we're going to begin on the bolster on our backs with the bolster under our knees. So I have a very puffy bolster, a very thick bolster. So that's why sometimes I need a little bit of extra support for the other parts of my body because it lifts me up a lot. That may not be the problem or the issue that you work with. But anyway, where we're going to begin is the bolster under our knees and then lowering ourselves down onto our backs and extending your arms so they're very, very comfortable. So a nice V shape. The backs of the hands can rest gently on the floor. The back of the head can rest gently, and the neck can feel nice and long on all sides. So in other words, we're not crunching our chin down to our chest or reaching our chin up. We're really letting our chin be level and letting the head and the neck and the shoulders be nice and relaxed down. Then noticing the weight of our arms and our elbows and the backs of our hands as they're resting on the earth. And then noticing the back, the pelvis, the hips, resting down, and then coming to our knees and our legs, making sure that the bolster is supporting underneath the legs, underneath the knees in particular, and that we're not holding our legs. So you're not holding your legs together. You're not trying to hold the feet forward or anything. The legs and the feet, and in particular the ankles, get to just relax and have a little bit of turnout. So we just kind of did a little scan of the whole body. Now let's just finish that before we go into some quiet breathing. Let's just finish that by letting our face be relaxed. So just open your mouth nice and wide and stick out your tongue and say, ah. I'm going to make sure that we're all muted here. So you're giving yourself the opportunity to let the mouth open, let the jaw open. And getting a nice long exhale. You're now all muted. I think somebody might have started to say something. You're welcome to chat me. I might have missed it. And take another couple of breaths like that, just inhaling and then exhaling with a ha. Opening the mouth, the jaw sticking out the tongue. Now you can release that, but I do encourage you to just move your face around a little bit. You can put your lips together, you can smile, you can make funny faces, and then you can, even if you like, you can just bring your hands to your face and give a little bit of massage to the skin on the face. Pull the skin of the cheeks, the skin of the earlobes, the skin underneath the jaw and the chin, just to give a little bit of movement and circulation to the face. And now we can just find ourselves laying gently on the floor, supported under the knees, allowing the weight of the body to rest down on the earth. Connecting our breath, connecting our sense of presence, just being alive, being conscious in this very specific moment in time, connecting it to your breath. Dialing your attention so intricately and intimately with your breath that you maybe notice things that you wouldn't otherwise notice about your experience of breathing. What parts of your breath, of the cycle, do you more naturally connect to? So maybe we are more prone to notice the beginning of the inhale or the middle of the exhale. See if you can notice something new. See if you can be aware of a new part, a new spot in the trajectory of the cycle of your breath. Being curious if there's an aspect of your breath that maybe you have never even noticed before ever in your whole life. And as you breathe, you also may notice that you have settled a little bit and you can shift and adjust either in a micro amount or even a macro amount, like really move that shoulder, that hip, or lift up, lift down. But make an adjustment so that you're even more comfortable and even more present inside this amazing and hardworking body of yours. And then on your next inhale, really imagine lifting from toes to the top of the head. And on your exhale, let your nose just gently go over toward your right shoulder. Now take a full breath here with a gentle stretch, very, very gentle stretch on the left side of the neck as you're gently, as you've turned your head over toward the right shoulder. And then very gently begin to move the head back to center. Taking a nice long inhale from your toes to the top of your head. And on your exhale, begin to bring the nose over to the left shoulder. Taking a nice full breath into your belly here. And then bringing your head back ever so slowly. And we're going to do it one more on each side, but I want you to just do it at your own timing, like really taking your time, letting your head turn over to your right shoulder, just enjoying that motion, taking a full breath. And then on your own timing, in your own way, bringing your head back, just noticing how you move, the slowness of it. And then going to second side. So noticing how long you can keep your attention on the motion and on your breath. And then bringing your head back to center. And then as you arrive back in center, very slowly begin to bring the arms overhead. So just feeling the arms move along the floor and overhead, and then reaching your fingers up and you're stretching your toes. You can arch your back, do anything you like here. Just take a nice long big stretch. I'm spreading my fingers wide and I'm twirling my ankles and my fingers. And then exhale, slowly, elegantly drag your arms back down, just kind of enjoying the motion of bringing the arms back down. Now let the palms rest face down now and bring the shoulders up to your ears and then slide your hands down toward your hips, which is going to arch your low back a little bit, and then press your arms down into the mat and lift your chest just a little bit. Gently press the back of your head into the mat and then squeeze and hug down with your arms. Now exhale, release, and just allow yourself to relax fully for a moment. Beautiful. Now we're going to, let me make sure I remember my sequence here. Okay, right. So now we're going to bring the bolster underneath our pelvis. So we're going to lift your hips, bring the bolster underneath your pelvis. It's not under the low back. It's really underneath the pelvis there. Adjust the head so there's no tension there, and then let the left leg come down and then the right leg come down. And now bring the arms out to the side and just allow the top of the hips to stretch, the hip flexors, and let the arms go out, and make sure that the throat is not compressed here. Taking some nice fluid breaths, long inhale and a nice full exhale. And now you're going to begin to bend the right knee in toward the chest, and the left toes are going to stay active and continue reaching down to the floor. So if your leg is hovering and you can't get the left foot down, then just go ahead and plant the left foot on the floor, because your leg shouldn't be hovering. That left foot or heel should be able to be on the mat. And now let's just hug that right knee into the chest and then sway it side to side. The right ankle and foot can be nice and relaxed here. And then give it some nice shakes forward and back, and then some nice circles, circling that femur and the hip joint. Bringing that right knee out to the side. So just take this leg now on a nice little improvisational ride around, taking circles in both directions, pausing anywhere that feels really nice. And I like to do sometimes just little tiny baby shakes, like you're just rocking a little baby. Can be very soothing. Take a nice full belly inhale and a nice long exhale, and just pause for a moment. Now take your right knee in your left hand and gently guide, you can let your right arm come to the floor, and then gently guide that right knee across the left side of the body until you feel a stretch in your hip flexors, in the crease of your hips. You don't have to go typically very far. This is not an all the way twist right now. This is just a very gentle twist, or rather a gentle crossing of the leg to stretch the hip flexors. Now bring that leg back to center and take that right knee in your right hand. Take your left hand and gently touch down on your left thigh to keep that part of the body anchored as you bring that right knee now out to the side. And we'll just take a few moments here, gently hugging that right knee down and over to the right. See if you can relax the head and the neck. See if you can relax the back of the heart. Breathing fully and letting the weight of your right arm and right hand just gently opening up that right knee out to the side. Now we're going to gently bring that right foot with as little effort as possible down to the floor, and then using as little effort as possible, slide that right leg down. And just take a moment to notice the right leg and the left leg. And then gently slide that left knee into the body and hug that left knee. Now, once again, that right foot, the right heel should be on the mat. And if it's hovering, then go ahead and bend the knee and place the right foot on the floor. So now we're hugging that left knee into the body, saying hello. Might feel different than the other leg. And then we're going to sway that leg side to side. And then up and down. And then take that left knee on a nice little circle journey around, feeling that amazing big, thick, heavy bone of our thigh as it meets that ball and socket joint in our hip. And so taking another improvisational dance here with your left leg going side to side, around in circles. Breathing the whole time. And then bringing that left knee to center and taking your right hand and gently guiding that left knee across the body, feeling that stretch on the outer hip and in the crease of the hips here. Breathing slow into the belly and just allowing that the movement and the stretch itself to kind of do its own work by holding still and using the weight of your arm to guide it over. See if you can relax the back of the shoulders, the back of the neck. Then inhale that leg back up to center and take your right hand, gently press it on your right thigh and allow your left hand to guide the left knee out and open. So taking this open stretch. Yeah, beautiful. Allowing the gravity to pull the leg down, pull the knee out and down. And then bringing that knee to center. And now bringing your other knee to join you. I have to scoot down a little lower on my bolster here, but I'm going to bring my knees in toward my chest, and then I'm going to bring my nose up to my knees. So I'm just getting abdominal strengthening here, hugging in the knees, and then twirl your ankles and get some stretch in your ankles, both directions. Now rest your head. Bring your legs out in a wide V and your arms in a nice wide V and just take a nice stretch. Reach both your right fingertips and your right toes. And now left fingertips and left toes. Beautiful. And then we're going to slide down the bolster so that the bolster now comes under our ribs. And we're going to bring our arms out to the side in a T shape, and your arms have cleared the bolster. So now you're going to let your head rest back. And this is where, depending on the size of your bolster, you may need a pillow for your head. If your head is hovering and it's not easily resting on the mat, then that's not good. And you're going to be kind of holding and tightening muscles. So you want to be able to let your head just rest gently on the floor. And your legs, once again, get to be just nice and relaxed, some turnout in your ankles and your feet, and your arms and the bones of your arms and elbows get to just rest down. So this should feel good in the upper back. This is the counter stretch to all of our forward hunching on computers and screens, and just in life in general. We do a lot of forward rounding with our spine. So this is opening up the spine. Now let's slide the soles of our feet together, coming into a Supta Baddha Konasana, and letting the knees go out to the side in this butterfly pose. Breathing and expanding into the belly. As we exhale, allowing ourselves to drop even more deeply into the pose. Now we're going to very gently roll over onto our left side, keeping the bolster essentially underneath the upper back. So I'm going to bring my knees together and I'm going to slowly roll over onto my left side. Wait, I'm seeing how dark it is. It's probably hard to see me. I'm going to try to turn on some more lights. Now, because my bolster is high, I'm going to have a little bit of pillow underneath my head. But what's happening is the upper ribs, the right side of my body gets a little bit of compression. I'm going to take my right hand and reach it beyond my left fingertips. And then relax the arm for a moment and just rest down in this side shape here on our bolster. Now on your next inhale, you're going to come and onto your back again, open up into the Baddha Konasana shape, and then roll onto your right side. My knees are together. My arms are more or less resting toward one another. Now I'm going to take my left fingertips and reach them up and beyond my right fingertips. So I'm stretching out the left side of my body, the left waist, the rib cage, the shoulders, and then let that arm come back and rest for a moment. Now take a nice inhale, and on your exhale, come back onto the center of the mat and then roll over onto your left side again. Take an inhale, exhale to roll to the center, and we're gonna just go side to side here. So coming onto the right side, take an inhale, exhale onto your back, and do a couple more of these at your own pace, getting a nice massage on the upper back as you roll side to side. You'll feel compression on one side of the body, and that just opens up the other side of the body. And then find your way on your back. Come up onto your tippy toes, and then pick up your right foot, twirl your right ankle, and then place that foot down on the ball of your foot. Now bring up the left foot and twirl that ankle and put that foot down. And now roll over onto your left side, bring your right hand and place it on the floor, and then come on up. Move slowly. We have just been on our back for that whole 20 minutes. And so now we're gonna bring the bolster so that it's long ways on the mat. And bring your hands about halfway down the bolster and come up into downward dog. Adjust your feet and get your hands just right, pressing down into the base of the thumb and the ring finger, and lifting all of your toes and then reaching both your inner and your outer heel down to the mat. And now rest your forehead on the bolster. So just take a moment to arrive here, allowing the head to rest, feeling that ability of the head and the neck to just not be held up for a moment by the spine. And bend your left knee and stretch down through the right heel. Keep that pressure in the base of the thumbs, in the centers of the fingers. And now switch and bend the right knee, extend down into the left heel. And then straighten both legs and just reach both heels down to the mat, allowing the head to have a rest. And now on your next inhale, we're going to inhale to come forward into plank pose. And lay those shoulder blades down on the back. Gently feel the quads engage, reaching the heels down toward the earth. the tops of the ears reaching toward the wall ahead of you. And then we're gonna bend our elbows and hug them in toward our sides of our ribs as we come down onto our bolster. And bring your knees down for a moment. And now we're going to just having the bolster here, we're gonna just be able to practice and fine tune our chaturanga a little bit. So with your hands spread nicely wide underneath the shoulders, elbows hug in, balls of the feet are on the mat. So the toes are turned under, and we're gonna lift the belly button toward the spine and come back up into our top of the plank position. And one more time, hug the elbows in, come down onto the bolster, allow the knees to come down for a moment, and then rest one cheek or the other on the bolster for a moment. And then switch sides and rest the other cheek. And then bring the center of the face toward the bolster. Hug the tops of the arms in toward the chest. Gently engage the low belly. Reach the heels and the legs down, and then press up. Take one more inhale, and on your exhale, send the hips up and back to come into down dog. Reaching those hips up and back. And then exhale your knees down to the floor and bring the bolster in towards the inner thighs, and then come down into a child's pose. So bring your arms forward and bring one cheek down onto the mat. Reach those fingertips forward. You're kind of on spider fingers. And then relax the arms down and let the arms rest. And just take a nice rest here in child's pose. I'll tell you when to switch the direction so you can have your neck stretch in each direction. Breathing into the back body, letting the belly be relaxed. And then switch sides, bringing the other cheek onto the mat. I'm going to try to turn on another light here. And then slowly roll your way up, rounding into the spine. So letting the back have a nice roundness as you come up. And then take a moment to just allow the hands to rest on the thighs. Take a few breaths, being in an upright seated position. Breathe into the belly and breathe into the back body. And then we're gonna come onto our seat with our legs in a nice wide V shape. And we're going to do a forward fold in a V shape. And for some of you, this might be already a lot to sit this way. So what I want to do is give you a few options. One is, what you do is you sit up on your bolster, have your legs wide, and then slide off the bolster. But the bolster will sort of help keep that tilt. So the top of the pelvis is tilting forward, and it helps keep your pelvis in that nice shape so that there's that nice arch in the low back and we're not hunching and rounding forward. So this is a great place to practice right here. You can let your hands rest gently and just work with the stretch that you get from that. Now, for some of you, you can sit in this shape without the bolster supporting you in the back. So the other option now is to take the bolster, I'll give you a side view here, is to take the bolster and now take your forehead and rest it against the bolster this way. So this way I'm really already feeling the stretch here. And it's a restorative way to do this so that we're using the prop to hold us up rather than our muscles. So this might be a great place to work. And then another bus stop is if that is already available to you and you can still go further, is you can come down and you can rest, you could rest your arms on the bolster, you could rest your forehead on the bolster. And if you're more flexible than I am and you can rest your head on the floor, then another option is that you can have your arms up on your bolster. That's not really something I can demonstrate because I am not that flexible. So I'm going to actually work with this option, the middle bus stop, because I think this feels pretty interesting to me tonight. So choose your place to work and really allow yourself to settle down into your hips, into your seat. The heavy leg bones are resting and pressing down. There's some activity and some muscle engagement in the legs, just a little bit. The ankles are flexed, so those feet are pointing up to the sky. And I'm really hinging at the hips rather than rounding forward. It's a hinging motion, which gives a real stretch to the inner legs here. So once you find a shape that you can stay in for a few minutes, just allow your nervous system to set there. Start to regulate your breathing here. Notice how you are meeting this stretch, how you are connecting with it. If your mind is hurrying and waiting for it to be done, if you're enjoying the stretch and just, taking in the sensations, or if you're somewhere in between, see if you can just practice a sense of steadiness in the shape, a sense of just simple presence in this position, this kind of arrangement of your limbs, where you can receive the nutrients of the pose. There's muscle strengthening here. There's also lengthening. And there's the opportunity to dial into the kindness, the softness, and the gentleness of your breath. What can relax here and what has to stay active. So there are some parts of the body that have to stay active to keep you in this shape. And then there are other parts that actually don't need to work. So see if you can let some of those muscles, big and small muscles, be at ease that can be. We're going to take a couple of breaths to come out of this pose. So I want you to just watch yourself take 2 or 3 breaths to move very slowly and thoughtfully and consciously to come out of this pose, maybe placing the hands to help you start to walk out. However you do it, just see if you can stay in the whole ride of coming out of the pose and slowly bringing the legs together. So just taking your time, seeing how you move. And then having the legs together, having the ankles flexed and the toes up, bring the arms behind you with the hands facing forward towards your body. Spread the fingers wide, and as we did with downward dog, press down into the base of the thumb and the base of the ring finger, and then press into your hands and your arms and lift your heart and let the back of your head come back and reach your chest up to the sky. Imagine the back of your heart reaching through the front of your heart and lifting up. pressing down into the base of the fingers too. So you're really stretching into the hands and the fingers here. Now bend the elbows, walk the arms back, walk the hands back, and bend the elbows, and then allow the chin to come to the chest. Now walk the hands out a little bit. Let the hands and the fingers be turned out in the same kind of direction as your shoulders. And then just rock side to side for a minute here, moving slowly and getting into the heads of the arm bones, the tops of the shoulders. And letting your breath be kind of a relief here. Sometimes it's just a relief to breathe. And move side to side, stretching into the shoulders here. Bending deeply into the elbow and looking out over the opposite shoulder. Great, and then come back up, cross the legs, and bring the chin down to the chest. So for just a moment, allow gravity to stretch the back of the neck. Letting the weight of gravity pull the forehead down, and then very gently rock the left ear over toward the left shoulder, stretching out the right side of the neck and letting the right shoulder move down toward the earth. Now bring that chin back to the chest. Take a breath here, letting both shoulders descend down. And now rock the right ear over toward the right shoulder, stretching out this whole nice line of the left side of the neck. That left shoulder descends, creating as much space between the left shoulder and the left ear. Take a nice big inhale, nice long soft exhale, and bring the chin back to the chest. Now engage the low belly and unzip from the low belly all the way up through the spine, and then let the chin come back up. Bring your fingertips, just gently bring your fingertips to the back of the head and let the head fall into the hands. And now imagine you're scooping your head, how to explain this, sort of up and back so that your upper back is stretching and you're lifting your head up and back and opening up your elbows wide. So there's some strengthening here, and you're also supporting your head, but still allowing for some stretch in the throat, in the neck here, to allow the head to go back. Widen those elbows. And now use your hands, your fingers, the strength of your arms to really lift your head back onto the top of your spine. Now allow the arms to drop and spread the fingers wide and reach the fingers out to the side. Feel the stretch as you really reach those fingers out as wide as you possibly can, feeling a stretch in the forearms, perhaps even the upper arms, and perhaps even the shoulders. The navel draws back toward the spine. Shoulder blades hug onto the back and move down. And then gently knit the ribs together so you're not jutting your chest and your ribs forward. And then exhale the hands onto your knees and just take a moment to take in the inner experience of your body for a moment. Take your left hand, bring it in front of you, and take your right hand behind you and take a little twist. As you exhale, really press more deeply into the twist. As you inhale, you might rise up a bit. One more big inhale, and as you exhale, unwind all the way over till you come over to your left side. Bring both hands over to the left side, and then let your forehead come down toward the mat as you descend your right hip toward the floor. Now windmill the arms up to the sky and back down, and then we'll come to the second side. So right hand comes in front, left hand comes behind, and take a twist. Navel draws toward the spine, press down into your hands, and then widen your collarbones, widen your shoulders, reaching to look back behind you. One more big inhale, and on your exhale, unwind all the way to come over to the right side now. Let the forehead come down toward the mat, descending, your left thigh down toward the mat as you reach over. Beautiful. And then come back up. And then just wiggle about. Let's change the cross of our legs and take a forward fold, but first by just hinging at the hips, bringing the hands forward on spider tip fingers and just hinging at the waist, hinging at the hips here, and reaching the spine long first, and then exhale to come into a forward fold, letting the forehead come down toward the mat. Breathing into the back of the body, and then slowly coming back up, rounding into the back of the spine, letting your chin come up very last. Beautiful. And then let's get the bolster and place it on the mat. And we're going to just do a quick restorative posture that I'm just becoming familiar with and just practicing. So it's interesting. It's a counter to the stretches that we just did. It's very simple, but we're going to lay on the bolster with our chin just at the edge, just beyond the bolster. Tops of the feet are on the mat, arms are down alongside, and this helps the spine stretch out after our forward folds. And then let's press up and back and come to sit on your left side with your left hip up against the bolster. So your feet are staggered and your knees were basically sitting like lovely mermaids. And so bolster is right against the left hip and the left thigh. And so place your hands now on either side of the bolster. Engage the low belly and the low abdominals and twist your navel toward the center of the bolster. Take a nice big inhale, lengthen the spine, and on your exhale, pour yourself over the bolster to come down. I'm going to rest my arms alongside the bolster, and you have a couple of choices for your head. One is you can place your left ear on the bolster. That's the gentlest option here. Another is you could have your chin or your forehead on the bolster. And the most twisty option is to, and I like to lift up my belly and really twist my belly here if I go this far, is now I can bring my right cheek onto the bolster. So none of those postures are any better for you than the other. They just offer different emphasis on which part is getting stretch, which part is getting more restoration. So see what feels like just the most optimal, delightful, delicious, and restorative pose for you today. And as with any pose, especially with restorative poses, there's going to be a few little shifts and adjustments here. And I really encourage you to make those shifts and adjustments, especially when it comes to caring for your neck. We often put unconscious tension in our neck, in the backs of our shoulders. And so see if you can adjust, make little tiny tweaks so that you are just enjoying this nice little simple twist or side restorative pose. I believe that one of the best cures for the pace of modern life and some of the ailments that we all endure because of the pace of modern life, and and shoot some of the traumas that we're all living through currently, is to move slowly and thoughtfully and consciously with our bodies. That there is something in that connection and that experience that is in and of itself a healing activity. It is a healing experience. So one doesn't need to be effortful, or, well, although it takes effort to track your breath, to stay present. But we don't have to be overly ambitious in this practice so much as slowing down, being mindful, and noticing our experience, making tiny little tweaks and adjustments, and then being present with the breath, allowing the nervous system to set, to regulate, and to find a steadiness in our breath. So I believe it does a lot of healing and a lot of good for our bodies, our beings, our brains, and our nervous systems to do this kind of practice. So on that note, what we're going to do is switch sides. And so I'd love for you to take this as an opportunity to do it completely at your own pace and in a way that most suits you, where you use the least amount of effort as you switch sides. So one way to do that is to think about how you could prop your bones, and very gently use your bones to prop you up. Although take your own journey here. And as you find your way to the next side, do so reminding yourself that you can have ease as you move. Bringing our hands alongside. So now the prop is leaning and pressed against my right hip. And now I've got my hands on either side of the bolster, and I'm twisting myself so that my belly is as center to the bolster as possible. And I'm really aiming the center of my chest now toward the center of the bolster. I'm going to inhale and lift, elegant, long, spacious, and then exhale, pour myself down onto the bolster. Choose your head position. Make sure your arms are comfortable. Make sure you are able to allow the chest, your boobs, your belly to all find a comfortable place here on the bolster. And then go deeply into experiencing your breath. Go into the experience of what muscles need to be working right now, and what part of your muscular system gets to actually just elongate and rest. And what part of your breath are you noticing most readily? And what part of your breath can you track and be curious about, and maybe spend a moment or two on this particular rainy Thursday evening in the galaxy? What might you discover about how you breathe, how you enjoy breathing, how you could breathe even more deeply or more luxuriously? So we're going to come out of this shape and we're going to come into a downward dog. So before you move, maybe just take a moment to imagine yourself moving gracefully between this pose and a downward dog. And see if you can move your arms and your legs and your torso in as few and as simple of movements as possible to make your way easily into downward dog. So we're going to step our left foot forward alongside the bolster and then bring our right knee down. And then we're going to scoot the bolster right to the edge of that right thigh and scoot our left foot gently out just an inch or so out to the left side of the mat, and then bring your left arm inside your left leg. So I've got both my hands are around the bolster and I'm in a variation on the lizard pose. The top of my right foot is on the mat and I'm just allowing my right hip to rest down onto the bolster. And you can stay right here. You might be getting just tons and tons of stretch right here. The stretch is primarily in the right hip flexor, the right thigh. Or you might want to take it down a little bit further, coming onto your forearms. You can rest your head on the bolster. You can adjust the bolster so it's more under your head if you like. And you can also scoot that right hip back and down if you want. You can hug your left knee in a little bit in lizard if you have any if there's not a lot of strength in your left hip. So that's a way to bring a little bit more sturdiness in the foundation of your left hip. So just taking a few moments here in this lizard pose, stretching into this super lunge. And one more full round of breath. And then come up onto the hands. Step the left foot back to come onto your knees. Have your hands under your shoulders and take a cat-cow. So arching the back and exhaling, rounding and doming the spine. And then inhaling back to center. Scoot your hands another inch or so, or 2 or 3 inches forward. Turn the toes under and bring the hips up and back to come into downward dog. And for our second side, we'll step the right foot forward, bring the left knee down, and then scoot the bolster back to the left thigh. Now I'm going to heel toe inch my right foot out to the edge of my right mat a little bit and bring my right arm inside my left leg. And so right here might be plenty of stretch, or you can come down onto your forearms. Hug that right knee in if need be. If there's, again, if there's sort of like a looseness in the hips where you can throw your hips out, then hug in. Otherwise, you can just let that knee move out a little bit, adjusting where the stretch is in the hip. And just take your pose here for a couple of breaths. And then we're going to come out of this pose, coming back into hands and knees, and turn the bolster more on its side, and then come onto your back. And we're going to come onto the bolster once again with the bolster under our low backs. And we're going to slide up a little bit and do legs up the imaginary wall pose. So arms rest down on the earth, and then bring the legs, the knees in. Take a nice full inhale, and on your exhale, allow the legs to come up toward the sky. Point the toes, flex the toes back down, And do another point and flex. And then just let the legs open up a little bit. Allow the bones of the thighs to reach down into the hip sockets. And just take a moment to let the legs rest up. Even though we're not against the wall, you are welcome to take this posture against the wall if you like. You can always just stay long, and once the class is over, just continue on this way and stay for half an hour in the shape. So as we're in this position, make sure that your shoulders haven't started to inch up towards your ears. Make sure that your head is nice and long and the throat is clear here. And then let's bring the feet down one by one to the floor. And we're going to roll off the bolster one last time and set up for our Shavasana. So if you have more props and you want to use blankets and such, you are welcome to do so. You just have a bolster, bring it right to the sacrum and then lay back. Open the arms up out to the side, palms up. And then with your feet, you can go back into a Baddha Konasana shape. This is a pretty standard resting shape, restorative resting shape here. If you have blocks or blankets and you want to place them under your knees, you can do so. The other is to just allow the legs to come straight out. So if that feels better on your back and on your system, feel free to do that. So go ahead and take whatever shape you'd like for our final resting pose this evening. And find your way in this new arrangement of your body back to that breath that leads us through our days and through our nights, from our very first breath that we took all the way to this breath we are breathing now. It has been with us every single moment of our lives. Can you adjust and fine tune this shape so it's 1.75% more comfortable? Can you adjust your inner listening 1.75% more into more quiet, to more attention to the quietest place you can find within yourself? So begin to open your breathing a little more. Begin to stretch your fingers and toes. Find your way in a way that feels nice for you. Find your way onto your side. And take a breath or so on your side. So not rushing. And then allow your bones, the engineering of your bones, to place themselves in such a way that you can very easily start to prop yourself to come up to seated. So kind of finding your bones to use like props so that you come up slowly and gently. And find yourself in any kind of sitting position. Allow your breath to move through you now as you're in an upright shape. And one thing that my little one here, she got a book recently on how to say thank you and how to say thank you to different parts of her life, different parts of her day. Even just saying good morning and thank you morning for arriving. And something that I'm feeling very aware of lately is just this feeling of saying thank you to my breath. So as we close our class, let's open our palms. Pepper, you want to open your palms out like this? Yeah. And then let's just take a moment to feel in our hearts or in our minds or all of the above a sense of thank you to this body that has breathed since the day we were born. And let's now bring our hands together in front of our hearts, holding in and feeling into that gratitude that we now hold. And let us be with kindness and with respect and with great gratitude to this breath within our body that breathes our life. And may we walk with that kindness in our days and sleep well in our nights. So thank you for joining me. Namaste. And Zoom has changed. I can't unmute folks. So you're welcome to unmute yourself or just enjoy your evening. So thank you all for joining me. And may you have a nice restful evening.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
What, Pepper, why do you have a Band-Aid on your forehead?
Oh, do you want to tell them it's because you think Band-Aids are really neat and not because you have a boo-boo? She has narwhals on this Band-Aid. So this.
Oh, narwhals are cool.
Narwhals are very cool. So so do you like to wear Band-Aids, Bug?
Yeah. I can see why. They're so cool.
That's right. Quite a fashion statement.
It is quite a fashion statement. Yes, everyone's like, oh my gosh, is she okay? So, hey, a little more attention for her doesn't hurt. She doesn't mind.
Well, thanks for visiting us, and I'll say goodbye.
Yeah, you want to say night-night to everybody?
Night-night, everybody.
Bye.
All right. So long, everybody.
Thank you for your presence.
Bye. I have presents.
You have presents?
That's right. You do have presents. All right. Good night, all.
Good night, all.
Good night. Thank you.